Orla, it's lovely to see you here today at Flicks and City, and we're going to be talking about your role in the Christmas special of Doctor Who. Now, you play a galactic nun, I believe. Tell us more.
I do play a galactic nun. Tasha Lem is somebody who is from the Doctor's past. She's an old friend of his, and in this episode he comes to her for help. We have not met Tasha before, but we have met her forces. We've met the troops of the Papal Mainframe in a former episode. And this is the big boss. She's the Mother Superius, as she's called, of the Papal Mainframe. She's extraordinarily powerful. So she's like the head of the galactic UN. She's a peacekeeping force, but they've got more firepower and more willingness to use it than the earthly UN. So they are kind of a scary outfit if you were on the wrong side of them. But I think he has to feel that she will help him, and indeed she will, because she's an old friend of his.
What did you enjoy most about playing Tasha Lem?
I particularly enjoyed, aside obviously from working with Matt and Jenna, who are just, lovely people, but more importantly, they do what they're doing very, very well. They both love what they're doing. They both are hugely enthusiastic. Matt it's as if it's his first week at work. So he's there looking at every scene, seeing what he can get out of it, really, really finding, the heart, the comedy, the moments in it. There's no sitting back on the part. So that was a really great thing to be around, a lovely thing to work with. I think my personal little highlight moment was getting to do a scene with Daleks.
Wow.
Yeah.
How cool.
It's sort of like visiting your childhood nightmares, because you, as a child, do you remember moving away from the telly? You'd see them and you'd be, and you'd hide behind somebody. And I remember thinking, well, obviously that's a long time ago, and I'll see these tin things and I'll just think, oh, pathetic. But in fact, when they came in, they moved quite quickly, and there is this voice, this wonderful voice. And I actually felt myself wanting to move away slightly. So it was quite fun to do.
I mean, you mentioned kind of reliving childhood memories there, and with the Daleks, a particular scary villain for you from the show when you were a kid then, weren't they?
Well, they are the archetypal baddies, this kind of totalitarian regime that they represent is something that there's something about death. There's something just deadening and about death and about no mercy, as they say themselves. There's something that you feel there's no ability to reason with them. And that's terrifying, of course, at any age. But it's certainly terrifying as a child. And so you bring a certain part of that with you, don't you, into adulthood?
Not just the Daleks on the show, though. I mean, we've got a plethora of villains this year. We've got the Weeping Angels.
You do.
We've got the Silence. We've also got the Cybermen as well.
Yes.
So what was it like kind of being around when things like that were being shot?
Well, the thing is, I was in prosthetics some of the time, so I couldn't be around for all the shooting. Obviously, you're in some days and not in other days. And some of the time I had to remove myself to go and do a particular makeup. So I'd love to have watched the Cybermen, and I couldn't be around for that. I saw them wandering around outside having a fag, but I didn't kind of see them for the shooting. Obviously, the Silence are part of, or become part of, the Papal Mainframe. So I did have scenes where Silence were present and have a certain allegiance to me. So that was fine. I hung out with my bros, the Silence. So really the one, and the Weeping Angels was a different whole set of scenes that I couldn't be around. I find them terrifying. Really terrifying. Yeah. Blink was one of those episodes that you really, really jump back. And this is obviously not as a child. There's something we think, oh, that's very good, because it's about something you can't see. So the concept of it just worked beautifully. And what I love about it is it's so low tech. It doesn't take some big explosion. I mean, obviously they just move the statues and the camera angles. But there's something great about the fact that you look back and something else has happened. So I found the Weeping Angels terrifying, but I didn't have to Didn't have to work with them.
Were you kind of glad in that case that you didn't have to work with something so terrifying?
Well, I'll tell you, here's the thing is, I'm supposed to be, although I'm on the side of, broadly speaking, I'm on the side of good, I'm supposed to be not frightening, but authoritative. You're supposed to believe that she can run these troops and run the Silence and run this giant ship and run the UN of space, and that she will use her firepower if necessary, because she does get cross, shall we say, with the Doctor at a certain point, because of course she's used to troops pretty much being under her control and doing what she asks of them, and she does ask the Doctor to do a particular thing, and he's a bit of a loose cannon and he kind of goes rogue. So she's not best pleased at a certain point.
I know you're a newbie to Doctor Who in a way, because I know you watched it as a kid, but you kind of caught up on all the Doctor Who lore, didn't you, for this episode?
I had
obviously
to.
We pick up on a lot of strands from Matt's shows and series in the past, as Steven Moffat said in this. So how was that, getting to grips with all the background?
Oh, well, look, it was great, because I obviously wanted to and had to do my research to find out what the story strand was, because there are things that I get to kind of explain reasonably briefly in this episode. So I asked the editor for, the key stories that would relate to what she has to talk about, and watched those and thought that I would just watch 5 or 6 and sort of be done. And over that 5 or 6 in my rainy hotel room in Cardiff, I became this Whovian. I sort of went into the room as just a normal person and then kind of emerged days later with red eyes and a kind of new passion for Doctor Who. Now, there were episodes that are just standalone. They're extraordinary. Blink is obviously one of them. Hyde is a beautiful piece. The Empty Child is extraordinarily scary and spooky. And funny enough, I think this must be a thing of mine, but I'm going back to all the low-tech things, if you notice, the things that aren't about some huge effects, because it's more that you create atmosphere by telling a story a certain way. And in all those instances, they were proposing an idea and something that makes us fearful, but we don't know why, but it makes us uncomfortable. So they were great kind of psychological dramas. And they were also standalone in a way that some of the Doctor Who stuff, you kind of want to be part of the ongoing story. But it is remarkably easy to watch single episodes, and they're very satisfying. And these are just very good examples of that.
I mean, how far did you kind of construct a backstory of your character?
There was a backstory in that they enjoy each other's company. She's a little bit of a loose cannon and kind of says everything in the room that he's kind of trying to tell her to maybe don't say that in front of everybody, So to that extent, we invented what was between us.
And you've got an incredible look as well, a very strong look to the character, so kind of Blade Runner-ish from what we've seen of the photos so far.
Yeah, that was again, that was suggested by Jamie Payne, the director. He referenced that, and I think what he was trying to feel from her was a slightly otherworldly thing. She's human, but Steven Moffat said she's a descendant of humans. It's like there's some element of her that is not quite just human like you or I am. She doesn't have specific superpowers, much to my huge disappointment. I didn't get to fly or anything. But there is an element of her. There's a strain of something else, something alien. Of course, obviously I have invented an entire storyline and series around Tasha Lem. Obviously. But it's all in my head.
What are the chances that we'll see you back with the Doctor Who at any point?
There's any plan. I think it's a one-off.
A spin-off for Tasha.
I bet everybody who goes on the show thinks, ooh, do you know what? Wouldn't it be great if? Because it's such an enjoyable show to do. That's the thing is, there is no downside. There couldn't be a downside to doing Doctor Who. When I got the script, it came in, I got a call to play it, and I kind of was busy working. I was shooting that day and shooting hard for a few days, so I didn't have time to read it immediately. And I just said, look, it'll be a yes. I will read it, of course, in the next day or two, but it'll be a yes. And my agent was saying, well, are you sure? Don't you want to read it first? And I said, well, of course, what's it going to be? It's going to be a sort of phosphorescent chicken who speaks Russian, or a cyborg's bottom or something. I'm game, that's fine. Turns out it was Tasha Lem, which is lovely. I was very pleased with the character, but it's a lovely party to be invited to. So I was very happy to turn up in whatever costume they wanted me to turn up in and be at that party.
And of course, your friend and fellow Mistresses star, Sarah Parish, was also in a Christmas episode of Doctor Who, wasn't she?
Actually, we met at something and we're talking about this, and we suddenly realised there was somebody kind of listening and looking at us both and thinking, why are they talking about being galactic nuns and red spiders? And, I thought they did drama. And they hadn't quite kind of twigged what the Doctor Who experience was. But she had a ball on it and I had a ball on it. I mean, what can you say?
What are your favourite memories of filming on the Doctor Who set?
There are moments that you think will be just another day shooting, but you feel slightly overwhelmed. Going on the Tardis,
Yeah.
I don't know why, but again, it's something you've been watching since childhood, so there's something about that. So just walking onto the Tardis, I just felt a little bit overwhelmed. I had to kind of look around and take a moment, and then we rehearsed, and then we just did the scene as you do. But it was it had the effect of when you meet somebody famous or you see the Taj Mahal for the first time, really, rather than in a picture. And that was it. It was just so known to me, and then I was on it looking around. So that felt a bit magical.
Of course, the Christmas special is all about saying farewell to Matt Smith. So how did you feel that they balanced that saying goodbye to Matt with welcoming in the new Doctor?
First of all, they balanced the kind of darkness of the end of his story, because it has been predicted for a long time that, as you know, it has been predicted that he will die in Trenzalore. And that appears to be, it is where this story is going. So there is a kind of darkness and a sadness, and we know he's going, we know this is happening. That is woven together very beautifully and very skillfully with a very Christmassy episode, and it really is beautifully done. So there is that kind of, that emotion around Christmas Day, as well as the emotion of him leaving. And there's also a kind of an appropriate sadness around it. You know that thing that at Christmas, there's a sadness around Christmas sometimes because of our set of expectations around it, and our set of expectations around things being perfect and being with people you love and so on. And it often doesn't work out as you would have it in your dreams. So there's something lovely about that kind of mix up together. Look, I think it's hard for any new Doctor coming in. It just is hard. I'm sure it was hard for David Tennant. I'm sure it was hard for Matt coming in, after David. And it'll be hard for Peter, because there is a Doctor that everyone knows and loves, and they're leaving. And you can't help but be sad about that. But I kind of think, you can be in love with more than one person. And I think that already everyone is understanding how right Peter is. I mean, the moment it was announced, you just thought, of course. You didn't remotely think, oh, interesting casting or anything like that. You just thought, of course it's Peter Capaldi. He's the Doctor. Of course he is. So already I feel it's accepted. And he'll be wonderful. He'll be really, really wonderful, in his own way. And one of the things people ask you a lot, people get asked a lot, is, who's the best Doctor? And it's a bad question, because there isn't a best and worst on a chart. There's just some Doctors resonate for you more, like a poem does, like a book does, like a song does. I'll stop now. But there are certain Doctors that, you just respond to more, that you kind of feel they brought out things that you wanted to see in the Doctor. And Matt has very clearly done a absolutely beautiful job over the last few years, and he will be missed. But Peter will win the hearts of the world.
I mean, of course, you've worked with him before on another Christmas special.
It was a Christmas special. It was a Christmas special. That's right. He was lovely. I mean, it was a week. You rehearsed all week, and then you did it in front of a live audience. Listen, he's all the things you know about him. He's very funny. He's very nice. He's a fantastic actor, and he's got this kind of quality that is so right for Doctor Who, which is he's got a slightly scary quality on one side. He's got a stature about him where there's a kind of Quicksilver quality that can go here or go there, and you don't quite know. But he's also so able to be funny, and this somebody having all those qualities at once, that's quite hard to hit all those things together. And both the actors we're talking about, Matt and Peter, have that in spades, absolutely in spades. So he'll be wonderful. And I wish I'd got to. You know, we didn't obviously do a scene together in this because that's after the Regeneration. But I'd love to have, because he's a good guy to work with.
Steven Moffat said recently that we're not actually on the 11th Doctor with Matt. He's actually the 13th Doctor, because we've got John Hurt now, and also David Tennant had 2 regenerations. So what does this mean for Peter Capaldi, we wonder? What would you like to see happen?
I just want the series to go on forever. So obviously what I don't want is some sort of massive, practical joke where Matt dies and then you go, yeah, no, that's it. We were just joking about Peter and Doctor Who's over. Can you imagine? There would just riots would break out. Oh God, actually, I'm getting slightly sweaty thinking about that. Clearly there's something up because he's nudged it forward to that. So clearly he wants to kind of not wait to do that. He wants to kind of get on that, the fact that we're getting to the end of the regeneration cycle. So he's he has done something in the script.
Orla, it's been lovely talking to you today and hearing all about the excitement of the Doctor Who Christmas special. We cannot wait to see it.
I hope you enjoy it. I hope very much you do.